66 million years ago, a giant rock the size of a mountain fell from the sky. It took less than a second to strike our planet, and less than a single day to erase almost everything. But think about this for a moment. What if it missed? What if that catastrophic rock simply drifted past Earth, lost in the black void of space? If the dinosaurs never went extinct, 66 million more years of evolution wouldn't belong to us. It would belong to them. Somewhere, in an alternate timeline that almost became our reality, a completely different civilization might be standing on this very soil right now, staring up at the night sky and waiting for a rock that never came. Honestly, we like to comfort ourselves with a clean, simple story. We tell ourselves that human intelligence was always meant to happen, that Earth was just waiting around for us to arrive. But if you take a step back and really look at the history of our planet, that idea gets very uncomfortable very fast. Think about this for a second. Dinosaurs ruled this planet for over 165 million years. Let that number sink in. Now compare that to us. Modern humans have been here for barely 300,000 years. In the grand timeline of Earth, we are a tiny, microscopic blink. So if they had millions of generations and millions of chances to adapt, who is to say evolution didn't try something radically different long before we ever showed up? What if intelligence didn't begin with a primate in a cave, but inside a completely different skull millions of years earlier? Tonight, we are going to explore the quiet question that paleontologists usually only whisper about behind closed doors. What would Earth look like today in 2026 if intelligence had evolved in scales and not in skin? Let's go back for a moment, not to the impact itself, but to just before it, the late Cretaceous period, 66 million years ago. When most people think of dinosaurs, they imagine massive, mindless monsters. But fossil evidence shows us something far more unsettling. Dinosaurs were actually getting smarter. One species in particular has haunted paleontologists for decades. It was called Troodon. Small, fast, and walking on two legs, Troodon had a brain-to-body ratio that rivaled early primates. Back in 1982, a scientist named Dale Russell did something most researchers would never dare to do. He built a real model of what Troodon might have looked like if it had kept evolving for another 66 million years. They called it the Dinosauroid. It stood upright, had large eyes, and possessed three-fingered hands with opposable thumbs. Uncomfortably human. And here's the part that genuinely gives me goosebumps. This wasn't just some wild sci-fi movie concept. It was published in an official, peer-reviewed scientific paper. The blueprint for a non-human intelligence on Earth might have already existed long before us. It didn't fail because it couldn't evolve. It simply ran out of time. Now, imagine that the cosmic clock never actually stopped. There is no asteroid impact, no apocalyptic firestorm, and no 6-month-long winter of ash to block out the sun. The Cretaceous period simply continues. At first, honestly, nothing looks different. Evolution is slow, patient, and often quite cruel. But species like Troodon did not need some random mutation to evolve. What they truly needed was pressure. And on a still thriving, competitive Cretaceous Earth, pressure was everywhere. Predation, rivalry, subtle climate shifts. Think about this. Some scientists argue that pack hunting behavior, which we already suspect in raptors, would have naturally pushed them towards something much more dangerous. Complex coordination, true communication, maybe even a basic language. But here is the real twist, and it is far darker than just a smarter predator. Intelligence does not just evolve to hunt better. It evolves to deceive better, to manipulate others, to scheme. A dinosaur civilization might not look kind, curious, or peaceful like we often imagine ourselves to be. It could have inherited the single coldest trait that reptiles are known for, a near total absence of parental empathy. Their society might value the whole colony over the individual in ways that human ethics would find truly monstrous. What happens next completely changes how we have to imagine this entire alternate world. Here is a fascinating secret that most mainstream documentaries completely overlook. We humans burn nearly 20% of our daily energy intake just to power our brains. It is a massive biological tax that forces our species to constantly farm, hunt, and consume relentless amounts of food. But reptilian biology works on an entirely different scale. Cold-blooded creatures require significantly less metabolic energy to survive. Some evolutionary biologists argue that a reptilian intelligence could actually be far more energy efficient than us, capable of processing complex thoughts and maintaining high intelligence on just a tiny fraction of what a human mind demands. Think about what that simple biological fact means for a moment. A dinosaur civilization in 2026 would look nothing like our world. They would not need massive farmlands stretching across entire continents just to feed themselves. They would not build our fragile, resource-hungry megacities that pollute the atmosphere and drain the planet dry. Their philosophy of existence would be completely alien to us. Our human architecture reaches upward for the sky, driven by ego, dominance, and sprawling skylines of steel and glass. But a reptilian mind, evolved from underground burrows, caves, and dark rainforests, would likely think in reverse. Their architecture would reach downward into the warmth of the deep earth, carving monumental cities inside massive natural caverns, canyons, and tectonic vaults. They would harness geothermal warmth directly from the planet's core, living in silent harmony with the subterranean geology of the Earth. And here is the most unsettling revelation this entire journey has been leading to. We always assume that intelligence must announce itself. We expect an advanced species to build massive rocket pads, pollute the atmosphere, beam radio signals into the galaxy, and light up the night sky with bright electric grids. But that assumption is pure human bias. A reptilian mind, born from millions of years of patience, silence, and ambush hunting, would never build a loud, wasteful civilization. They might have created a society so quiet, so perfectly integrated with the planet's ecosystem, that from orbit, Earth would appear completely untouched, primeval and wild, a dark planet, hiding an ultra-advanced species right beneath its quiet green surface, which leaves us with the darkest, most chilling thought of all. Maybe an intelligence like that wouldn't blast signals into the stars or try to colonize space. Maybe they would simply stay hidden, watching from the shadows, monitoring the planet, and waiting. The exact same way their ancient ancestors once waited in the deep brush for something smaller and far more vulnerable to walk by. Honestly, if mind-bending thought experiments like this leave you staring at the ceiling at night, wondering what secrets might be hiding right beneath our feet, then you are in the right place. This channel was created for curious minds just like yours. The asteroid did fall, that much we know for certain. In a single afternoon, it ended 165 million years of reptilian dominance, opening the door for small, warm-blooded mammals hiding underground to eventually become us. When you really think about it, it is a deeply humbling thought. Somewhere in the infinite paths of reality, There is a version of Earth where that rock missed, where the sky stayed clear, and where right now, in 2026, something is still looking up at the stars, and it isn't human. We survived because of pure cosmic luck, not destiny, not superiority, just sheer, unadulterated luck. And if that is true, then maybe the real question isn't what if the dinosaurs never died out? Maybe the real question is, what were the exact odds that we ever got the chance to exist and ask these questions in the first place? In our next documentary, we are going to dive into a theory that many scientists are hesitant to talk about: the shocking evidence that intelligent life may have actually evolved on Earth more than once. Make sure to stay curious, and I will see you in the next story.